Hey, what's going on, guys? Troy Edison coming to you from the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Got a beautiful ocean view. So we got some beautiful mansions, we got the ocean. So I thought you guys would really enjoy the view. And I'm trying to relax you guys because I want to talk to you about stress fat. I want to give you guys the top 7 proven ways to stop stress fat in its tracks. Now, the crazy thing about stress fat that you guys probably don't realize is you can be following a really precise exercise regimen. You can be following a really clean diet. You can be putting all the right things in your body. And if you are chronically stressed out, you are actually still going to put on body fat. It makes it literally impossible to curb your appetite and lose body fat rapidly. So you have to understand what mechanisms happen in your body when you're chronically stressed out. So when you're stressed out, you have anxiety, you have all this, extra pressure floating around inside your brain. What happens is you have your adrenaline spiked up, so this taps into your energy stores, and then simultaneously your cortisol levels are going to rise. And now when your cortisol levels rise, this causes hunger to also rise. And the crazy thing about, stress eating is, when was the last time that you were really stressed out and you reach for a carrot or some fresh vegetables? I know myself, when I'm stressed out, I'm reaching for ice cream, I'm reaching for cookies and candy and cheesecake. Actually, just the other night, I was pretty stressed out. I had a lot on my plate, and I usually don't do this, but I went to Chipotle, I had a burrito, and then right after that, I had a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup McFlurry. And I can tell you 110% of the reason why I did it is because I was stressed out. If I wasn't stressed out, there is no way that I'm eating a burrito and no way that I'm eating a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup McFlurry. So you have to understand how stress fat works, and you have to understand what happens in your body. So these excess cortisol levels cause you to be really hungry, and then another thing these extra cortisol levels do is it causes your testosterone production to diminish. So lower testosterone equals more body fat equals less muscle mass equals a really slow metabolism. So I want to get into, in this video, 7 proven ways to stop stress fat in its tracks. So obviously, eliminating 100% of the stress from your life, this is nearly impossible. But if we understand how stress works, how cortisol works in our body, we can actually counter-attack this stress fat, and we can still speed up our metabolism, lose body fat, and get in phenomenal shape, regardless of how much anxiety we have going on in our lives. So let me get into step number 1. Step number 1 is when physical and mental stress is at its absolute peak. We want to combat this with a combination of antioxidant-rich and nutrient-dense carbohydrates. Now, when your cortisol levels are all the way up here, you have to combat this with carbohydrates. There's really no way around this. So if you deprive yourself of glucose, what your brain and body operates on, when you're really stressed out, you are gonna be irritable, and eventually you're going to crash, and you're just gonna succumb to your sweet tooth and your really bad food cravings. So how we counteract this is with intelligent carbohydrates. So we wanna have antioxidant-rich and nutrient-dense carbohydrates. So I call them stress-fighting carbohydrates. So like I said, when your cortisol levels are all the way up here, you need carbohydrates to combat this. And furthermore, antioxidants are a really abundant source of just killing free radicals in your body and reducing your stress and anxiety levels. On top of this, vitamin A and vitamin C help shut off your cortisol levels, help actually your body fight this extra stress. So they're actually powerful carbohydrates that have a combination of vitamin A, vitamin C, other powerful nutrients, and also really high antioxidant components. So I call these stress-fighting carbs. So anytime physical and mental stress is at its absolute peak, your cortisol levels are all the way up here, you want to consume a lot of stress-fighting carbohydrates. So they're actually 3 times of the day when your cortisol levels tend to rise the most. This is first thing upon waking, and that's why if you have a really stressful day, right when you get out of bed, instantly you guys should be having some stress-fighting carbs. So I really don't recommend going on a low-carb diet just for this very reason. So you have to understand too, a lot of people go on low-carbohydrate diets thinking that it's gonna help them lose weight, but you have to understand that protein and carbohydrates are 4 calories a gram, and then fat is all the way up here at 9 calories a gram. So when it comes to losing weight, obviously blood sugar and hormones play a key role, insulin, all that, but it's also the total calories coming in versus your calorie expenditure. So obviously, fat being 9 calories a gram and carbohydrates being 4 calories a gram, what makes more sense, to consume something that's 4 calories a gram or 9 calories a gram when you're trying to lose weight? So I always say when you're stressed out, you actually want to lower your fat and increase your carbohydrates, consume more stress-fighting carbohydrates. So let me get into my list of the top stress-fighting carbohydrates. So number 1 is broccoli. Now obviously mothers have been making their kids eat broccoli for generations, and for good reason. Broccoli has tons of fiber, antioxidants, vitamin C, calcium, iron, and it's also a potent phase 2 antioxidant. So it actually helps your body produce more natural antioxidants. It's going to help shut down your cortisol levels, help you reduce stress and anxiety. Next up we have goji berries. Now this is the fruit of an evergreen tree actually found in China, Mongolia, and Tibet. But the goji berry, like many berries, is exceptionally rich in antioxidants and carotenoids that may protect you from degenerative diseases, help shut down cortisol production. Also has a ton of amino acids, vitamin C, vitamin E, fatty acids, B vitamins. Overall, just an incredible superfood. Next up, we have kiwi fruit. It's actually a berry, and like most other berries, kiwi fruit is stocked with antioxidants. They have as much potassium as bananas, so a lot of times when you're stressed out, you're consuming lots of caffeine, lots of coffee, and this actually strips your body of essential minerals and electrolytes. So it's good to consume a lot of foods that contain potassium when you're stressed out. So kiwi fruit loaded with potassium. It's got tons of vitamin C to combat your cortisol production, lots of beta carotene. It's also got fiber, vitamin E, and folic acid. Next up, we have colored bell peppers, so talking red, orange, and yellow bell peppers. These have one of the highest sources of vitamin C in the world. So vitamin C, like I said, helps shut down your cortisol levels. So in times when we're stressed out, the combination of having carbohydrates really high in vitamin C should always be your best defense. It's actually a really good thing to include in your post-workout regimen as well. So obviously working out in the gym, putting tons of physical stress on your body, even if you're not mentally stressed out, physical stress is another form of stress. So vitamin C in combination with carbohydrates is going to help you shut down your cortisol production, help your body recover more efficiently. Next up, we have pineapple. Now pineapple is a digestive aid. It's also really rich in vitamin C and manganese, also high in fiber, B vitamins, and copper, and it also improves your digestion. So obviously when you're stressed out, sometimes your digestion, it wreaks havoc on your digestive system. So pineapple, it has lots of bromelain, helps you naturally digest proteins and carbohydrates. It's got antioxidants, vitamin C, so another stress-fighting carbohydrate. Next up, we have pumpkin and pumpkin/pumpkin seeds. Now this is a really good source of fiber, vitamin E, vitamin C, magnesium, and potassium. It's also complex carbohydrates, so it's similar component actually to a sweet potato, which coincidentally is next on my list. So sweet potatoes have lots of complex carbohydrates, lots of vitamin C, lots of fiber, potassium, calcium, iron, and B vitamins. So anytime you have that sweet tooth craving, one of my favorite things to do is I'll have a sweet potato and I'll actually top it with marshmallow fluff. So marshmallow fluff is actually relatively low in total calories. And I believe 4 tablespoons only has about 15 grams of sugar, and then combining with the sweet potato, you kind of kill that sweet tooth craving, give your brain and your body a good source of glucose, and you also pack it with lots of vitamin C and potassium and iron. So those are my stress-fighting carbohydrates. So anytime you're stressed out, you want to make sure you consume as much of these as possible, and if you can just make the right decision half the time, so instead of reaching for some ice cream, some cheesecake, you reach for one of these stress-fighting carbohydrates, it's going to go a long ways in keeping your body fat levels low and your energy levels high. Step number 2 to eliminating stress fat is you want to keep your insulin levels low for the last 4 hours of the day. So you have to understand how cortisol works in your body. So cortisol levels actually are at their lowest late at night. So right when you get up in the morning, and then when you're going through, times of physical and mental stress throughout the day, your cortisol levels are going to be at their highest. Now late at night, right before you go to bed, your cortisol levels actually are at their lowest. So when we're talking about consuming lots of antioxidant and vitamin C and vitamin A rich carbohydrates, this should take place early in the day for breakfast, for lunch, and for any type of afternoon snack when you're really stressed out post-workout. But for the last 4 hours of the day, we want to keep our insulin levels low. Now, one of the most powerful things that you can do to turn into a fat-burning machine is having 12 straight hours of low insulin levels every single day. So we do this by having the last 4 hours of our day low insulin levels. So we want to have only protein and healthy fats for the last 4 hours of the day. And then obviously when we go to sleep, assuming that we're sleeping 7 to 8 hours, this adds up to 12 straight hours of low insulin levels. So low insulin levels equal, it actually does a couple things for your body. It's going to boost your metabolism. It's going to help your body burn excess visceral stomach fat. And it's also going to reduce inflammation in your body. So just keeping your insulin levels low for at least 12 hours every day, it's going to help you guys heal better. You're going to reduce your inflammation. You're going to overall feel a lot better. So you want to have really lean proteins and healthy fats. So one of my favorite, late night snacks is to have, sometimes I'll just have grilled turkey or grilled chicken breast. I'll throw some sliced avocado in there. Any type of vegetable is okay. It has a small fraction of carbohydrates, but it's still really high in fiber. And consuming whole eggs, lean grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, these are all great things to enjoy the last 4 hours of the day. So you want to stay away from all carbohydrates right before bedtime for the last 4 hours of the day, and then the goal is you want to have 12 straight hours of low insulin levels. Next step to eliminating stress fat is you want to consume an insulin desensitizer after each large meal. Even if it's a really healthy meal, even if it's a low insulin meal that only contains proteins and healthy fats, we still want to consume an insulin desensitizer. This is going to keep our blood sugar levels really low, and it's going to help your body utilize carbohydrates more as an energy source and less likely to store them as body fat. So I want you guys to consume one of my 4 insulin desensitizers, either 2 tablespoons of organic apple cider vinegar, so you can either put it in water directly or just chase it with water, a glass of organic matcha green tea, warm water with half of a fresh squeezed lemon, or organic coffee with 2 teaspoons of organic cinnamon. So these are all insulin desensitizers. They're going to keep your insulin levels really low. They're also really high in antioxidants. It's overall going to help your metabolism and increase your energy levels. Step 4 to eliminating stress fat is you want to trick your body and mind into eating comfort foods that are actually rich, decadent, and healthy. So when stress drives you towards something sweet or salty, it's okay to eat a little. It's actually much better to indulge in a small way and cut off your cortisol response before it gets out of control. So I actually came up with 3 of my favorite recipes, and they're going to combat different cravings. So number 1 is if you're craving like spaghetti with Alfredo sauce and all that, I've actually come across this recipe, and you can actually make spaghetti with zucchini and squash. So there's this little device that I'll flash on the screen for you right now. And I think between $10 and $15, you can pick it up online. It actually turns zucchini and squash into pasta, and it tastes very, very similar. So instead of having pasta with Alfredo and cream sauce, you can actually still enjoy the Alfredo and cream sauce and put it on zucchini and squash noodles, which have literally no calories. So a lot of times you got to think about what you're actually craving. Are you actually craving the noodle, or are you actually craving the cream sauce? So chances are you're craving that rich, decadent cream sauce. You can still enjoy the cream sauce on the spaghetti made of zucchini and squash noodles, and it's actually can still be under 500 calories, and it's going to make you stuffed and taste almost identical to regular pasta. So next up, if you're like me and you're craving chocolate peanut butter, so this is what I do. I get 3 to 4 tablespoons of almond or cashew butter with no sugar added, and I'll mix in 2 tablespoons of 70% or greater organic dark chocolate chips. So the total calorie count on this is only 400, and it actually contains antioxidants. It's relatively low in sugar, and it's going to kill your sweet tooth, makes you really full. So this is by far one of my favorite ones. If you're like me, I'm always craving chocolate peanut butter stuff, really rich, decadent cheesecake, things like that. So 3 to 4 tablespoons of any type of nut butter. You don't have to use almond or cashew butter. You could also use peanut butter. And then 2 tablespoons of organic chocolate chips. Total calorie count is going to be right around 400. You could also place any type of nut butter on an apple for another sweet, decadent snack. And then next up, we have one of my favorite healthy recipes, chocolate chia seed pudding. So I'll show the recipe on the screen really quick, but this one's super easy to make. It tastes identical to chocolate pudding. It's really rich, really decadent. It's got lots of omega-3s, lots of fiber, and it's going to help you boost your metabolism and help you guys lose body fat. So those are 3 little tricks to succumb to your cravings and actually get in a rich, decadent, healthy snack. Step 5 to eliminating stress fat. Less is more when it comes to exercise. Focus on exercising less, but for more intense periods of time. So you have to understand that cortisol actually rises when you work out for too long. So how we combat this is we want to have the perfect storm of being able to burn a lot of calories and work our muscles, actually reduce anxiety and stress, but not overtrain where we're spiking up our cortisol and just further exaggerating symptoms of, excess cortisol and anxiety. The last step to eliminating stress fat is you want to power up breakfast and shore up key mineral deficiencies that are raising cortisol levels. So deficiencies in B vitamins, vitamin C, calcium, and magnesium are stressful to your body, and these deficiencies lead to increased cortisol and food cravings. So you can actually fight back by eating a breakfast that's high in these key nutrients. So I came up with a little recipe, I call it stress fat fighting oatmeal, that actually combats all of these key mineral deficiencies that lead to an increase in cortisol. So here's the recipe: 1/2 cup whole grain oats, 1/4 cup organic berries. You can do strawberries, blackberries, or any type of organic berry. You could even do goji berries in there. 3 tablespoons of raw almond slivers, 1/2 of a banana, and a grapefruit. So this is actually going to key up all of these mineral deficiencies. The almonds are really high in magnesium. You have the whole grains being really high in B vitamins. You have the organic berries giving you tons of cortisol fighting vitamin C. And it's also really high in potassium. So the stress fighting oatmeal is going to be great. It's going to give your brain and body key glucose. It's going to shut down your cortisol levels immediately upon waking. And also grapefruit, it's awesome for your metabolism, really high in vitamin C. Highly recommend you guys do grapefruit or grapefruit juice in place of orange juice. So those are my 7 tips to eliminating stress fat in its tracks. Now, obviously, it's all about implementing these minor steps that give you guys major results. So the synergistic effect of doing all 7 of these is so incredibly powerful. So you have to understand that cortisol levels are always going to rise no matter who you are, anytime you have physical and mental stress, anytime you have a lot of anxiety. So you have to understand what actually shuts down cortisol production. So even every time you're stressed out, just reaching for one of my stress-fighting carbohydrates, or after every big meal, having an insulin desensitizer, having my stress-fighting oatmeal every single day. These little things add up to a ton at the end of the week, at the end of the year. So anytime we can keep our blood sugar levels stable, we can, instead of reaching for a 1,500 calorie piece of cheesecake, we can have, say some almond butter or some organic dark chocolate chips. Even doing this 30 or 40% of the time when you're stressed out is going to add up to a lot of stress fat being eliminated in its tracks. So it's all about implementing these minor things, giving you guys major results at the end of the day. So you have to keep in mind, 3,500 calories that you don't burn equals 1 pound of fat. So just by implementing, say, 2 or 3 of these steps every single week, it's gonna help you burn another, 1,000, 1,500 calories every single week. That may not sound like a lot, that's only 1/3 pound fat. But think about after 50 weeks how much that is. All of a sudden we're talking 20, 25 pounds of excess fat. So obviously it's all about implementing these things on a consistent basis. The more you can do, the better. But I want you guys to not be overwhelmed. Just start doing 1 or 2 of these things every single week. And then maybe by week 2 and 3, you implement 1 more. And then maybe after 6 to 8 to 10 weeks, you start implementing all of these, and you're gonna notice a huge difference in your body fat levels. And most importantly, you guys are going to feel a lot better. You're gonna have more energy. You're gonna be more enthusiastic. You're gonna be a lot more likely to work out. So hope you guys got a ton of value from this. That is my 7 ways to eliminate stress fat in its tracks. Signing off for now. Talk to you guys soon.